What's good, y'all? Today we're going to do something a bit different and talk about the dev changes in Zenless Zone Zero. I've been considering when to add ZZZ to the channel, and I think with the big changes and upcoming characters, there's no time like the present. We have a ton to talk about today, so let's get into it. A few days ago, Hoyo released what they called a dev face-to-face, where they discussed the upcoming changes they're making to ZZZ based on the player feedback they've received, and oh boy, is it a lot. I think the reception the game has had, coupled with the negative feedback and review bombing Hoyo has received with Genshin Impact, may have shook them because they're finally ready to listen to feedback. In fact, later in the video, they even asked us to continue giving feedback, going so far as to say we should email them directly, which I have never heard them say that at all, ever, in any game. The majority of the video discusses what they plan to do with the TV mode, which is their representation for Phaethon helping the agents traverse the hollows. If you don't know what Phaethon is basically just the player character. I know for a fact they've received the feedback that the TV system is bad since they introduced it in, I believe, CBT2, so before the game even launched, they knew players didn't like it, yet they persisted with it. So now, what do they plan to do about it? Well, first they'll be removing the TV mode completely from the main story, allowing us to control the agents to complete it instead of only using agents in combat, which I think is fantastic. The TV mode will still somehow exist in the game, with them working to improve it and make it a fun experience for players. I'm not really sure how they're going to pull this off, but I will say there were points in the game where the TV mode wasn't completely awful, so I think it is possible. We'll just have to see what they do. Also, you know how sometimes you'll miss an item or two in TV mode? They'll be implementing a system they refer to as fairy auto exploration, where the AI fairy will just pick up the items you missed and deliver them to you so you don't have to go back into the TVs to get them. That's pretty nice. Often I end up spending more time than I want to in TV mode just to make sure I get all the items in the first go, so I definitely appreciate this. Personally, I feel like the TV mode was a way for them to cut corners on development time while allowing them to show the contribution of Phaethon to the team dynamic and keeping it all mobile friendly. I think they're maybe too focused on making it a mobile game, but I completely understand why, since the majority of their revenue is from CN mobile sales. If they want to represent Phaethon's contribution to the team without using the TV mode, I think they could have them play a similar role to navigators in the Persona series. Characters in Persona like Futaba from P5 interject their own commentary on what's happening in-game when traversing the map. And in combat, they add random buffs to the party which can turn the tide in the player's favor during crucial moments. Hoyo could introduce this in much the same way and have us also spend time and resources to boost the effectiveness of Phaethon's help. Just a thought from a turn-based RPG perspective. However, I do think it would be superior to the TV system, just flat out. They also began blending the different topics of the TV mode and the combat changes they plan to have for us upcoming, discussing their alternative to having the TV mode in Hollow Zero. What they want to do is add a Blitz mode to Hollow Zero that'll be a change much like Divergent Universe in Honkai Star Rail. Players will only have to do combat scenarios to get weekly points, which is perfect since the TV mode in Hollow Zero is pretty much what stopped me from doing it all the time, or really at all. I like Hollow Zero as a mode, but the TV system made the time spent in it sufficiently bloated, which made it very undesirable as a weekly activity. Hoyo also said they'll be introducing a new roguelike system in patch 1.4. They're planning to add new abilities for agents in this mode, as well as new game mechanics. They also talked about modifying existing enemies to give them new mechanics in various game modes, as well as introducing new enemies as the game progresses naturally, mainly new elites and boss enemy types. The devs also acknowledged the difficulty of building teams as a hurdle to clearing Shiyu defense. To combat this, they'll be doing the following: removing the monetary cost of coffee and dismantling W engines, refunding money used previously to dismantle W engines, adding a stamina overflow system, increasing agent material drops, and giving players the option to spend stamina for boss materials once they've exhausted the free weekly encounters. Other ways they'll be improving the combat experience is to revamp the lock-on system, optimizing existing enemies to provide a new combat experience, and allowing ultimates to be tied to individual characters instead of making it team-wide, which is phenomenal. That alone will change the way we approach combat rotations entirely, and some characters may actually see their ultimates getting used. Typically, to clear Hollow Zero, you'd have to wait to use ultimates until bosses were stunned, and then you would only use the ultimate of your primary DPS agent. So this change will have a high impact into how we play the game. They also discussed expanding city functions and adding agent hangouts as part of the existing invite system. But I think overall these things are more like nice to haves. They're definitely not part of the primary or even secondary issues I think most players are experiencing with ZZZ. It's more than an understatement to say these changes are going to be huge for the player base, and certainly much anticipated by Hoyo's Western audience at bare minimum. I'm hopeful this is a positive turning point in the game's lifecycle. The video itself felt like the same energy we had with Dawe on stage talking about the Genshin feedback they received. The devs are also concerned with the dangers of over-promising and under-delivering, which as a dev myself, I can say I've worked on teams that have done that, and it's an extremely dangerous game Western marketing teams love to play constantly. So I think that the ZZ team overall is definitely going in the right direction. Only time will tell though. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment to let me know what you think of these changes upcoming in ZZZ. I'll be doing more ZZZ videos going forward on this channel, so I hope you look forward to that as well. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.